Welcome to the Long Strange Trip. I'm Josh, the host of the show. We're going to dig into 6 areas together, finding real work-life integration instead of that brutal 95-5 split too many business owners live with. We're going to approach retirement as an actual reinvention rather than just stopping work. And we're facing death honestly and avoiding PTSD around it. We're also building resilience when life throws us curveballs. We're sharing wisdom across generations. And finally, we're understanding the patterns that show up in all our transitions. I'm not coming at this as an expert. I'm a fellow traveler, figuring this stuff out in real time, especially now as I navigate my own dual cancer diagnosis at 73. Welcome to the Long Strange Trip. I'm glad you're here. Hey, how are you today? This is Josh Patrick, and you are at the Long Strange Trip podcast. And my guest today is Lisa Woodruff with Organized 365, and she's going to help us figure out why staying organized, which is a problem I have and don't seem to be able to do well with that. And if I was to show you what's behind me, you would know that was absolutely true. But how staying organized helps with resilience and wisdom and getting the things that you want out of life that you need to get. So let's bring Lisa on and we'll start the conversation. Hey, Lisa, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Josh. Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. So let's start off with where does wisdom fit into the world that I live in? I mean, not wisdom, but organization, sorry.
Yeah, so I think so much of the research around organization, specifically household organization, focuses on the population of married couples with children under the age of 18. And back in the 80s, when we moved from the economic theory of how households run to this gendered view of who's doing the work at home, men and women, 40% of the U.S. population was married with children under the age of 18, which still wasn't the majority of the population, but it was a large set of the population. And we can all agree, if you've had children, you know, they create a lot of work. And when you're married, you like to divide the work because nobody wants to do the work. But what I've learned over time is that only 17.9% of the current U.S. population is married with children under the age of 18. And probably the people listening to this podcast, there's only a handful of you that are in that demographic.
Probably
So my
not.
work, So my work is really looking at that 80+% of us who are either uncoupled, widowed, single parents, aging, all of those different demographics that are not studied in academia and talked about in the media. What does organization have to do in those areas? Because we still live in households. And what I found is the organization becomes more complex as you age. The physical organization of the
Can I
house.
stop you for a second?
Mhm. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you why. So the physical organization of the household and the changing of the organization, like as kids age, you have to constantly reorganize your house. That doesn't change. You can enter your later years in a house that has a lot of extra stuff that hasn't been decluttered. So it's not organized. Okay, we could start there. But you're not usually adding a lot more to the disorganization. You're just at a steady state of we're in disorganization. Where the complication comes is the invisible work. So you think that there's not a lot of invisible work as you get older, but actually there is. Like just figuring out the Medicaid, the Medicare, the retirement, the 401k, which plans go with which plans, if you need to care for your parents or when your children need to care for you, what information you share with them, the passwords, all of those things, the complexity of running the administration part of the household continues to grow exponentially.
So the physical part may stay the same or actually reduce a little bit. In my case, it keeps expanding because I keep buying crap, but that's my problem, not yours. And, but now we're talking about what I call the soft side. Well, you're talking about the technical side of planning as we age. And yes, that is complicated and it needs to be organized. What is your opinion about getting help with doing this sort of organization and particularly the financial stuff and the estate stuff and all the stuff that's what I would call, it's not soft stuff because we're not talking about our own physical well-being or what we think about. We're talking about the stuff we need to have in place so those who come behind us will not be left with a mess.
Here's what I observe, and I'm 54. I'm telling you, I'm 54, so I'm doing this for myself. As we age, our executive function declines. It's just humanity, like our
Yes,
ability
there's
to.
no question about
Okay.
it. That's a good topic by itself someday, by the way.
Yes, great topic. So planning and executing declines. Also, like our kids are our kids, or our siblings are our siblings, whoever's going to handle our estate. Like, they're not as smart as we are. You know what I mean? Like, we know more than they do. And we don't want them to know all of our stuff. We don't want them to know all of our dirty laundry.
So the question becomes why?
Well, because we don't really know our own stuff. Like,
Well,
I'll just speak
what
for
if we
myself.
do know our own stuff?
Okay, so if you do know your own stuff, then you're going to organize. Like my grandmother had a folder. She had a red folder and she had a binder. And she said, when anything happens to me, here's the red folder and here's the binder. Do the red folder first. I've already prepaid for my funeral. You're going to cremate me in a cardboard box. Don't buy an oak casket. And I'm taking you down to the bank right now and adding you to the accounts so that you don't have any friction when I die. Like, that is somebody who knows where all their stuff is.
Yep.
That's like nobody. That's like my grandmother and nobody else.
Well, I'm pretty much there, but okay.
Okay, but she also had like everything in her house was assigned a person. Like
Yeah,
all these
that's
things
not
were going to
true
go.
with us.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, she's like German. She's a German woman. She had like it all figured out. Most of us have that in our head. Like we have some of it written down and we know our intentions, but we haven't told anybody or we haven't written it down. And okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
What do you wanna say?
this goes to a really interesting question.
Okay, great.
And one I used to deal with a lot when I was in the wealth management world, which I'm not anymore. And it's a question I have more than a statement, but a friend of mine, a guy named Tom Deans, wrote a book called Willing Wisdom. And in there, he highly recommends that every year you have a family meeting where you review everything in your state with everybody in your family at the same time. So they have the opportunity to let you know what their thoughts are before you die and not have to deal with your crap after you die. Now, we've been doing this for years, and I find that it makes a whole lot of sense that I don't know what the secret is about our estates. What are our kids going to stop working when they're 50 years old?
Right. So I think that is great. I wouldn't be able to have that meeting right now because I don't have all of the things figured out.
Right.
I haven't figured all of it. Now I'm in my 50s. I think some of this comes the older you get, the more you get this stuff figured out.
No question. This became very clear to me as a huge need when I turned 70.
Right. But a lot of people die before 70.
A lot of people die before 70, and a lot of people die after 70 without doing a damn thing. So
correct.
What you're doing is needed, highly needed, and highly resisted.
And that's what I was going to say. So people don't want to do it because one, they don't want to face, it's work. And honestly, when we retire, we're done with work, even unpaid work. Like our kids will figure out.
Yeah, I get that 100%.
You avoid it.
Yeah.
Also, I think for me personally, even there's fear. I mean, we have really good 401ks, thanks to my husband. And I have a business that is sellable. And, we own our house and a condo for our son. So we have assets. Even though we have assets, I'm like, will it be enough? Because I hope to live to be 100. And I don't know what life will be like in my 80s and 90s and what kind of care I will need. Like, these are really big questions that I don't know how to answer. I don't know how to prepare for. I haven't experienced them yet, so they're unknowns.
So I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are technical questions. They're not, what I call soft side questions.
Okay.
Do you have a financial advisor?
Yes.
Your financial advisor is letting you down.
So they already tell us I have enough.
Yeah, but those are questions that they should be working with you so you believe you have enough and not just him saying or her saying you have enough.
Yes. So our financial advisor right now, we are working on growing the wealth of the company, redistributing the wealth through profit sharing to the employees, growing our 401k because I'm 54. My husband's 59. And he planned to work until 65 until he did well in the stock market. Now he's like, I think I can retire now. I'm like, well, what will you do? Because I want to work until I'm 80. And so now we're having this retirement conversation. And I realize that there's a lot about retirement I don't know. And so we are now starting to ask different questions of our financial advisor.
Okay, cool. Very good.
Yeah,
Um, just to let you know, retirement without having a plan and a strategy for what's next becomes a very, very lonely place. And
I
I'm
know.
speaking from experience, and I used to teach this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep. Yes, I say to my husband often, you don't retire from, you retire to. Like, what are you going to? What are you going to do? How are you going to spend your time? Now, all of a sudden, we have all kinds of plants around our house, and he's talking about another dog. I'm like, okay, he's figuring out what he is retiring to, which is great before he retires. But I think, this just points out you have much more wisdom than I do in this. I have wisdom in helping people when they find out that often you find out you're the executor of an estate once somebody has died.
Yep.
You didn't know it before. And so
Yep.
now you're like, oh, wow, I'm grandma's executor or my sister's executor, which should have been obvious because she's not married, but it wasn't obvious for whatever reason. And now you're like, I have no logins. I have no passwords. She didn't, or like somebody had to settle every single estate. So I'm coming at it from that perspective. The longer you live, the more lived experience you have, the more wisdom you have, the more organized you should be getting so that you're not leaving a burden to future generations.
So, out of curiosity,
Hmm.
how many people as a percent in the country have prepared for their death?
I don't know. Do you know?
No, I don't. I don't know if anybody's ever actually looked at those numbers. My guess is it's incredibly large.
That they have prepared.
No, they have not.
So I am doing a reader survey right now of my audience, and one of the questions I have is, have you prepared for your estate? Yeah.
What are you getting for answers?
I haven't deployed the study yet.
Ugh.
But these are people who are in an organized like they're organized. They're in an organized course, so they are thinking about this actively. And I'm even wondering if you're actively thinking about it. Have you done it yet?
So is this a course that you put together?
Yes. So I put together multiple courses that help you organize your household. Everything from the visible spaces in your household to the invisible management of the household and the administration and the information management that you would need to be power of healthcare and to settle an estate.
So what do you do with elder people like me who don't seem to have the ability of organizing or keeping anything neat in their life?
Are we talking obviously you
Physical,
have your
physical
yeah,
stuff,
right,
not
right,
not
because you're going to
not
say your
non-physical.
information's very organized.
Yeah, my information is very organized.
Actually, physical is so much easier than information. Because if you don't have your information organized, let's say it's digitized and we can never get logged into however you organize it digitally. That's much harder after your passing to organize you than it is to organize an entire house in a file cabinet. At least in a file cabinet, we have the puzzle pieces to start to put together the picture of what we're looking for. So for example, there's a man who died unexpectedly. And so I was helping his widow. He died at like 55 of a heart attack. And they had 80 file drawers. And we went through all of the paper. He had every single statement for every single investment he'd ever purchased during his entire life, even
Right.
mutual funds, which is pointless, right?
Yeah.
You say this is pointless. We had 4 bank accounts. We're getting all done. We're getting ready to settle the estate. And I'm helping her do her monthly bills. And I'm like, you know what? I really feel like there's a 5th bank account down at the bank. And it's like I think it's a 6-figure bank account. She's like, but we're ready to settle the estate. Like everything's been settled. Do you want to go to the bank? I said, I want to go to the bank. So I go to the bank. I sit there and the teller tells the woman, we've already done this. There is no extra account, blah, blah, blah. Do you want me to go check again? I was like, we want you to go check again. I'll be darned. It's like $120,000. The man had set up an LLC for their dream home. She then remembered it so that they wouldn't remember they had the money, and it almost got lost. But we found it because of the paper trail. So I am not, you are decluttering like you should have nothing left in your house. I'm not worried if you have physical stuff. Yeah, it's going to be a burden on your kids. They've got to clean it out, or whoever's doing your estate. But I mean, it'll take a year, 18 months. It is what it is. Now, if you would like to be more proactive, 2 things you could do. Number 1, start getting rid of your own stuff. But even if you don't want to do that, let's say that you have a 4-drawer lateral file and it's every single financial statement ever of a mutual fund that doesn't matter because he made graphs of how his mutual funds grew. But there's no financial reason that you need to have those printouts. You just put a little note on there that says, in case of death, destroy. Then your family members know this whole file cabinet goes in the dumpster. We don't even have to do anything about it. It's just gone. I don't have to go through every single piece of paper. You could just make those global decisions.
That's really good advice for my wife who likes paper for everything.
The second thing is, what are the things in your house that are not your passion projects? So like you're a wealth advisor. So the financial statements would be interesting to you up until your passing. Whatever your hobbies are interesting to you. But maybe there's something that you did in your 50s or 60s that you still have this stuff. Let's say snow skiing. And you're not going to go snow skiing anymore or whatever it is. And you're like, I just don't feel like carrying the skis and the boots out. Two things you could do. One, make a list of like, here are all the things I don't want to get rid of but could be gotten rid of. And second, you don't even have to call a professional organizer. If you know what it is you want to get rid of, call Junk King, call 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and you literally walk them around the house. You're like, get rid of this furniture, and they just take it out. Now, yes, you have to pay for that. You also have to pay for a professional organizer. You're not organizing it. You just want to get rid of the junk, and you don't want to carry it. Somebody else carries it. It's awesome.
Or somebody like me who can't ski anymore and has 5 pair of skis and 4 pair of ski boots.
I didn't even know that. But see, also that could just be donated. So the thing that you don't realize with Junk King specifically is that when they come in and they take your things, they take it back to their warehouse. I've been to the one in Cincinnati. It's the largest one. They'll take all those boots and those skis and they'll recycle them into the Cincinnati community. They'll take all the bikes, they'll fix them, and they'll give them to kids who need bikes. They'll take all the appliances, they'll fix them, and they'll give them to people who are coming out of incarceration or coming out of domestic abuse, and they'll give them, like, they will fix and give away your stuff. And they only end up disposing of like 20%. So it's not even like you're putting it in a landfill. You're giving it to somebody else to figure out what to do with it. And you don't even have to lift it. Josh, call them tomorrow.
What's the name of that company again?
Junk King. I really like Junk King. There's 1-800-GOT-JUNK, but Junk
they're
King is the one
I
that
don't
I've met
think
with.
Junk King is in town. But
check. They probably are.
Well,
Either way.
1-800-GOT-JUNK.
I have not vetted that company, but I think they do the same thing. Like, they don't want to put all this in landfills. So if the stuff is usable, they will use it. You can use AmVets and like there are other local places that will come and take your furniture. The problem is you have to usually get it to your garage or get it at least on your driveway. And I don't even want to lift that much.
Yeah.
That's why I call the other people.
So to me, it sounds like the non-physical stuff that you work with is much more complicated than the physical stuff.
Yeah. The physical stuff is exhausting and overwhelming, but it is not as cognitively taxing as the photos, the memories, the paper.
Right. And the photos, we probably want to pass them on, and whatever our heirs do with it is up to them, not up to us.
Yes. And so in my family, I was the photo historian. That was the direct sales company I was in for 16 years. I've made over 100 personal scrapbook albums. I have my dad's family and my mom's family. We made historical albums and then we photocopied them for everyone. Like, there is somebody in your family that loves the history of your family, loves the photos. Give them the photos now. Like, if you've got boxes of old photos, just get them out at Thanksgiving or Christmas whenever you have the family around, or if you go to an event, you bring your box with you. It will be the best thing you've ever done at Thanksgiving. You'll hold up pictures, family members will tell stories you've never heard of before, and then whoever is the historian in the family, they get to take those photos home.
Oh, for you. Do you ever recommend to your clients that they do an oral history about their family?
Yes, I have done many of these. So my great-grandmother, my husband's grandfather, I went down and we've audio taped them. So I have audio tapes of them. For my mother, I did the company Storyworth. I really like that company. It would email her every week, and she's a thinker and a writer, so she would write a response to every question. At the end of the year, I had 3 of those books bound, one for my sister, one for myself, and one for my mom. And my mom added photos in it. It's not cheap, but it's not terribly expensive. Really, really meaningful gift. I love having my family history preserved in that way.
You know, what was that company again?
It's called Storyworth, WORTH, Storyworth.
Storyworth.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bunch of companies out there that do that sort of stuff.
Yes.
But it's, you know, one of the things that we always wish we had was a history, so we knew the answers to many questions, like, where did my grandparents really come from?
Yes, or like I found out that my great-grandmother, she got a teaching degree. So I'm a 4th-generation female college graduate, which is unusual.
Yeah, very unusual.
And back in the day, you could only get a teaching degree or a home economics degree. So she got a teaching degree from Kent State, which at that time was called Kent Normal School. And I thought she was a teacher. No, Josh, she didn't even like kids. She never taught. It was the only degree she was able to get in college. She was an entrepreneur. She started a restaurant. She started a floral shop. She started a gift shop. At one point, she was running 2 businesses simultaneously. I would have never even known any of that. Because she had a college degree in teaching, I thought she was a teacher. She was an entrepreneur. A big entrepreneur, like in the 30s. She got divorced and had a child and ran a restaurant. Like, who did that as a woman, right? Like,
Nobody
that's
back then.
unusual. Correct.
Nobody back then.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So, when somebody is resistant, which I would assume you run across on a regular basis, how do you make them to become unresistant to doing what is best practices?
I've been thinking about that a lot. And I do think the older you get, the more resistant you get because it's work. And you're like, I'm so done working. I just don't want to do any more work. I think I try to trick people into it. So I am very high energy. I'm a former teacher by trade. I have a lot of different ways to tell you stories and motivate you and inspire you to take action. I help you think about your household differently. I name the rooms different things, and I give you different outcomes for what it looks like, as opposed to like, go file your taxes. I'm like, okay, here's how we're going to do this. It's a little bit contagious when you could find a coach or a teacher that is exciting and you want to listen to them and you want to do what they're saying. But at the end of the day, you just have to be more disciplined and you have to get it done. So a couple of things you could do. One, you could say, all right, well, I'm just going to pretend that it's a subject in school and it's going to be Monday from 9 to 11. I am going to work on something organization related to my household. And all the rest of the week, I don't have to think about it. From 9 to 11, that's when I'm going to do it on Monday morning. And all the rest of the week is not organization related. But during that time, I'm going to have junk king come. I'm going to clean out one file drawer. I'm going to write down all the passwords to my bank accounts for my kids. I'm going to just do one thing every week for a couple of hours.
There are programs out there that are designed to leave information in an organized and rational manner for your family after you die.
Mm-hmm.
And it has the ability, at least the one I'm using, which I can't remember the name of, but I would tell you if I could, has the ability of, and it does it. If something happens to me, my kids are notified automatically, and my wife already has the information for how to get in. And in there is literally everything that you would ever want to know about my finance and online world, because I have like 1,000 passwords and I don't know how many sites I'm signed up for, but they all have to pretty much be taken care of. And someone has to say, he's dead.
Right. So my solution is just a simple binder that we sell that has a workbook in it that you fill out like it's Mad Libs. You remember when you had to like put a noun here, put a verb here. It's like, put your social security number here, put this here. It doesn't actually have all of your passwords in it. You would locate those somewhere else. Sorry. But it's a physical binder. And there are so many digital solutions out there, which is awesome. And if you maintain them and your family knows about them, that is a great solution for you. What I found for myself personally is that many people end up settling estate reactively. And so now you're on a mission, like a scavenger hunt. The binder is your guide to your scavenger hunt. Here are all the things I know that your estate lawyer and your accountant are going to ask you for. So start finding them and filling this binder with this information. Number one. Number two, it is so much easier to use printed information when you are working on something. Now, storing it and being productive, finding your digital of choice is great. Maybe you have an Apple computer. I have a Windows computer. So you see, those are not going to be compatible. Or maybe you like Dropbox and I like Google Drive or whatever. So now I've got to log into your Dropbox. I have to understand Dropbox in order to figure out what your organization structure is. Personally, if I was settling your estate, Josh, I'm going to print it all out. I'm going to go everywhere. I'm going to print it all out. And the other nice thing about once it's printed out, because organization happens in analog, I'm going to print out all of your accounts. I'm going to put them all in different slash buckets. These are just these plastic folders that we sell. And this is how I do schoolwork. I organize them all. Then I'm going to contact every single one. And I might keep a written log of everything that I said to whoever I called. And then I send them the death certificate. And then I'm going to print out the email that they sent me back. And then when that account is closed, I'll move it into a separate folder because I'm working on settling your estate. So the binder is universal for everyone. Everyone can understand analog. Not everyone can understand digital. Now, here's something that might surprise you. Some people over the age of 80 don't have a digital login for any of their accounts.
Yes, I'm
Not
aware of
a
that.
single one. Huh?
I'm aware of that.
Yes. So it's all paper or it just doesn't even exist.
But here's a solution
Great.
that when I was practicing wealth management, I would pretty much insist all my clients did, which is to develop what's called a revocable trust.
Yes.
Sometimes it's called a living trust,
Yes.
but a bypass is all
Probate.
the sort of stuff you have to do normally if you die. And you can consolidate everything you have in very, very few accounts. So when
Correct.
you do die, it automatically transfers to whoever you want to transfer with, and nothing has to be done really, except somebody has to make a phone call.
Correct. So I have one of those.
Yep.
I have a gajillion, right? I'm pretty much in active parenting years still. I have a 25-year-old, a 26-year-old grandchildren that are 4 and 6 that live with me, multiple houses, a business. Like my estate is not simple right now.
No.
But it does have that trust.
Right.
And here's another fun fact. If you're listening, you're like, oh yeah, I have a trust. You might not. So I was working with someone the other day and they were like, don't worry, I have a trust and I have a transfer on death on my house. I was like, great. May I go look for those? Yes, you may. I went and looked for those. There was a transfer on death in the previous estate and there was a trust for the previous person who had died. There was no current trust. There was no current transfer on death. But because there had been one at one point and it was in the file, we assumed it was on this current residence and this current person's estate. And so we're going to go back to this executive function. The older you get, the lower your executive function is. Our brains are, a muscle, and our brain is starting to slow down as our body is starting to slow down. And so things that were true in your 40s, 50s, and 60s may not be true in your 70s, 80s, and 90s. And if you did it once, you might not have done it most recently.
True. Lisa, unfortunately,
Yeah.
we're out of time.
Okay.
So I'm going to bet there's a bunch of people listening to this that said, oh, I need what she does. So how would people find you?
Well, thanks, Josh. I have a podcast. I've been podcasting for 12 years at Organize 365. If this is an interesting conversation to you and you're like, oh, I need to learn a little bit more about my household, come on over and listen to the Organize 365 podcast. And then I have a website, organize365.com, where I have the different courses and products that I sell that help you manage your house and run your household.
How would they find that?
Just at the website, organize365.com.
Okay. And I have two things I'd like you to do. First, I've probably already said this in the intro, but please go to wherever you're listening to this podcast and give us an honest rating and review. If you love us, you give us 5 stars. If you hate us, you give me 1 star. And then I cry and you get to watch and be amused by that, but life goes on. And the second thing is, if you think you would be a good guest for this show, send me an email at jpatrick@stage2solution.com. That's the number 2 and solution is singular. That's jpatrick@stage2solution.com. And we're with Lisa Woodruff. We've been talking about organization of all sorts of different types. And I'm Josh Patrick, and you're at the Long Strange Trip podcast. And if you follow Lisa's advice, probably your resilience will go up automatically without you having to do a darn thing. So there you are. I hope to see you back here really soon at the Long Strange Trip podcast. Thanks for spending this time with me today. I really appreciate you being part of this journey. I'd be grateful if you'd leave an honest rating and review. It helps other people find these conversations, lets me know what's landing with you and what isn't. If you love the show, give us 5 stars. And if you hate it, give it 1 star and I'll just cry a little bit. Keep asking the hard questions. Keep being honest about what's difficult. And remember, we're all just trying to figure this out together. I'll talk to you next time on the Long Strange Trip. Thanks for stopping by.